welcome back to episode 101. Now this video was always going to be a hard one to make, following on from last week's epic journey. I know 100 miles isn't that far, but it is when you've had the car completely apart, you know, all across your garage, and you pull it all back together and make it work again. And this car hadn't driven for what I think was probably about 15, 16 years. So I think that's quite an achievement, especially for me, if you've watched the videos, all 100 of them previous to this one. I'm no mechanic and I kind of just wing it as I go along. So please go back and watch that one. Well, go back and watch all of them. Watch all those 100 videos that are sitting there if you've not watched them. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But anyway, in this week's video, what I want to do is try and focus down on some of the issues that arose from that road trip. And it's been sort of bubbling away in my mind that it's been a problem for a while. And if I can, I'll thread a couple more jobs in there. I don't know yet exactly what I'm going to get up to. It might not be a particularly big video because I'm a bit strapped for time at the moment. I'm chasing down a clunking noise which is sucking up all of my time. If you follow me on any other social media platform, you know I've been looking at this for a long time and it's really caused me some problems. In brief, there's a clunking noise coming from here somewhere and I don't know what it is. Anyway, let's dive into this video. Please click the like, click subscribe, leave me some comments, and let's just get in there. Right, something I want to start thinking about is the stupidly high idle. Whenever I drive somewhere, I put it back into park and the idle goes right up to probably maybe 1800 RPM, then I have to blip the throttle for it to come back down. Now in the engine bay, if I manually sort of blip the throttle, you know, turn the butterfly, the revs come up obviously, but then they drop down, they sit there again at about 1500. And if I use a screwdriver or something just to sort of push the butterfly shut, the revs come back down again. So I think it's a sticking butterfly valve in the throttle body. So I'm going to take the, I think I can probably get away with just taking a couple of the intake runners off to get access to it and have a look. Now at the same time, I know the kickdown cable isn't adjusted properly, the throttle cable probably isn't adjusted properly, and the cruise control cable doesn't really exist. It's attached but it doesn't do anything because my cruise control unit is sort of screwed up in one of the wheel arches. So I think I'll take the opportunity to have a look at that at the same time. Right, so if I just blip the throttle with my screwdriver, stays up. Now if I just close it again, it comes back down really nicely. And that kind of, it shows me that either the cables are badly adjusted and they're holding the throttle open, or the throttle is just sticking a bit. And that's come back down that time, but it's a bit random. Stayed up there that time, and we'll just put it back down. And this is the classic high tick over. If I just blip the throttle, it'll come back down. And then it stays up, a blip and it'll come back down. Right, the mechanism for all this stuff is deep inside there. I don't know if you'll be able to see like that, but what I plan to do is take off these two intake runners. To get this one off is a bit of a problem. I may have to just move the distributor, upsetting all my timing, but that's fine. I should be able to put that back. And then we can get to the linkage and the butterfly and everything. We can see what we need to do. Right, with the runner removed, we can see all the vacuum hoses that live down there. But the thing we're interested in today is the throttle linkage, which you can see there. Now there's three cables on it. The top one is the cruise control, I think, which isn't connected up on mine. Okay, the cable is there, but the actual cruise control is just sort of stuffed into the wheel arch, broken. Then there's the throttle cable, which is the next one down. Hopefully you can see that one. And then there's the bottom one. I can't remember what the bottom one does actually. I thought it was kick down, but I've got a kick down little switch on the actual pedal. So I'm not sure what that one does. I'll have to look that one up. What I'm looking at, so what I've done at the moment is wire the or G-clamp the pedal down so it's foot on the floor, and just checking that the throttle is fully open here, the butterfly, which it appears to be. So that's good. Well, that's bad because you could have got a bit more performance, but there is nothing else to get. Now all I want to do then is just look at that bottom one and check that that's adjusted correctly. Obviously what I'm in here for is to see why it's sticking. And I'm tempted to undo the other two cables and just leave it on the throttle cable so I can see if it doesn't stick then. Obviously this top one does something for the bottom one does something for the gearbox. Right, so I've put a lot of sort of grease on the mechanism and it still seems to be sticking. I can't really see why. So what I'm going to do is take off the 3 cables and just operate it manually by hand and see if it still drags then. What I think is one of the cables is probably obstructing it from closing properly. But with nothing on it, I should be able to see that it, you know, open it and it just pings completely flat, you know, back to closed. Right, so with all of the things disconnected, look at that. That's absolutely, when I open it, that pings shut and there's nothing. Right, just prior to any tests, what I found then is it's the cruise control cable is sort of holding the throttle body, the butterfly for the throttle open. So I've just taken it off and tucked it out the way. I'm going to give it a test now. Because I need to put on the intake runner, it's not just as simple as firing the engine up. I need to sort of put everything back together. But that does seem, sort of flicking it with my finger or opening it with my hand, it does seem to resolve the problem. So I think I'll go with that. The cruise control is defunct at the moment anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. When I come to get that working, I'll obviously wire it all back up. Right, so I've got it all back together. I've done the fuel line up. I need to just sort of watch that when I start it. Intake runners on. All of these are up nice and tight. I've scanned around. I think I've got every tool out. It's always my worry. But I think we're good to go. So let's just start up and see what it does. That starts up fine. It does seem like the tick over's a little low now, so I'm just going to pick it up a little bit. I'm expecting all the mixture to be a little bit screwed up because of that never shutting throttle. Maybe that's not bad there. I'll warm it up a little bit and we'll just see how it behaves. Right, you can hear the engine sort of starting to hunt a little bit now. I think that's because it's too weak. So I'm going to richen it up a little bit. Okay, no, it must be too rich then, because I'm just tiny bit and it died. So let's weaken it out a little bit more. That's probably about an eighth of a turn. You can hear that it's now not hunting up and down. I want to lean it right out and then go back in. you can hear it now missing, so I've turned about another eighth of a turn and it's missing. So I'm going to go back the other way, about 16th, and still missing. That sounds about right to me, and maybe slightly. I'm just going to pick the revs up a little bit so we can hear what it's doing. And you can hear that's still missing, so I'm going to tick over the tab low, so I'm going to raise that up a fraction like that, about again about an eighth of a turn. Right, I think we're pretty much there. That's the car completely warmed up. I've set the mixture as best I can at ticking over at 800 RPM. I've taken up to 3000 RPM and just, it was still sort of, I don't say popping, but coughing a little bit. So I've tweaked the mixture a fraction. We're talking, like a 16th of a turn, maybe not even that much. And it seems okay. So what I'm going to do now is just leave it. I'm never going to get it spot on, but it seems decent. And drive it again. Right, I'm going to leave it there this week. Like I said, it's going to be a fairly short video. Boy, does that make a difference sorting out the tick over though. I think what was happening was the car was trying to run at sort of 15 to 1800 RPM. And when you're creeping along at 30 or whatever speed, and below that, like 1000 RPM, the engine is being pulled down. It doesn't really like that. Now it's at 1000 or 800 to 1000. It's really happy because it's just sort of burble along. So really pleased to sort that out. Now the cruise control, I know my cruise control unit is all sort of corroded at the bottom. The bottom's actually fallen off. It might be junk, I'm not sure. And as I said a couple of times in the video, it's tucked in my in the passenger side front wing, sort of just tucked out the way. So I've left the cable disconnected from the throttle body. So that's probably fine at the moment. The automatic transmission kickdown, the cable seems fine. What I need to do is just look into the kickdown switch, and I'm just trying to work out the wiring for that. I don't have a kickdown relay. There's no mention of it on the fuse panel. So I need to just look at the wiring diagram and work out where that connects up. It must connect to something. It doesn't kick down though, I know that much. Although sometimes it does. It's a bit strange. Sometimes not even full throttle, you see it eases itself, you know, it sort of says, oh, I could do with being in a lower gear, and it changes down. It seems quite happy to do that, but it isn't related to the kick down switch. So that's kind of wraps those things up. In the background, my focus is turning to the interior. There'll be a video coming up maybe next week, maybe the week after, about what I'm doing with my door cards. One of them's on the, you can't see it, you know, one of them's on the side here now, and I'm slowly working my way through those. We'll start talking about the dashboard and all these things. What I want to do is get all the interior lined up, ready to be done, and then work out what I'm doing about spraying this, which is a bigger job, and I need to work out, you know, obviously it's going to be expensive. I've still got the sill, the driver's side sill to look at, because I know there's some corrosion down there. Try and work out what we're doing with that. But that's all further down the line. But for now, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time.